Today we'll be talking about how to reduce bleeding from a wound. How to reduce heavy bleeding from a wound. The first thing you have to do is you have to raise the injured part. If it's your leg, if it's your arm, you have to raise it up. This is to avoid, blood flow in that direction. You actually raise up your hand. And when there's bleeding, that means that the blood vessels around that area have been damaged. The next thing you have to do is you take a clean cloth and you apply pressure on that area. Still while it is being lifted, you apply pressure on that area. You continue the pressure for 15, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, until the heavy bleeding has reduced or has stopped. Make sure you keep that area higher than the other part of the body. This is very important, guys. This is very important. Let that area be higher than the other parts of the body. The third thing you have to do if you cannot control the bleeding is you have to use a tourniquet and tie the area before the wound. Let's say I have a wound here. I have to put the tourniquet somewhere here. If I have the wound here, I put the tourniquet here. Now, if you don't have a tourniquet, you can use a rope, you can use a cloth, you can use a wire, wherever you are. Just make sure you tie it here. This time is only for the legs and the arms. Don't tie your neck, don't tie your stomach, don't tie your breast, don't tie your head. Please don't do it. This is only for the limbs, the hands, and the legs. Now, when you have tied around this area, after 30 minutes, you loose for a bit, for like 10 minutes, and you hold it again. Still while putting pressure on the injury, on the wound. While putting pressure on the wound, you tie this. After 30 minutes, you loosen, you get the tourniquet or the rope or the cloth a little bit loose, and so that blood can flow in that area, and then you tie it again. If you do not allow blood to flow in that area by loosening the tourniquet a little bit, you will damage that whole arm and it will have to be amputated. This is very important, guys. I don't have a lot of illustrative videos or cartoons to be able to make this video more, informative than this, but I think I do my best to bring out the knowledge. And I think with time, I'm going to start doing cartoons. I can only use pictures. So if I had a wound, let me say on my arm here, which is very dangerous around here, and its blood is rushing, I would take a cloth, a clean cloth, and put pressure on it, real pressure, while raising it up. Now, let's take for example that this band is my tourniquet. While pressing on this, someone else would tie this band, or I could still tie this band. After 30 minutes of tying this band, this rope or this cloth here, I actually lose it a little bit so blood can flow. If you keep this area tied for a very long time, for hours, you would damage the whole vessels, blood vessels in this arm, and at the end of the day, the person may get their arm or leg or limb amputated. This is very important. Now, during that time when there's excessive bleeding, run to the nearest clinic. The person will still survive. But if you allow the person to bleed, the person will bleed to death. The person may have a shock. And, because there's no the circulation of blood, it's just, the person will go into shock. The next thing is you have to tell the person comforting words. Give the person hope. Remember, I said in my videos, the power of the mind plays 90% role in the survival of a patient in critical conditions. Healthcare, yes, it's important, but I'm telling you from experience, 90%. Don't let a patient be around you without you giving them hope that there's tomorrow. Especially when there is a form of heavy bleeding. Because the mind controls a lot of things in the body. So this is my short talk on this. You make sure you run with the person to the hospital. Like within an hour, you have gone to the nearest clinic. While the tourniquet, the rope, and you're still putting pressure on the wound. I see a lot of pictures on the internet of maybe in the zones where there's war, and when somebody or when there's an accident and when the person loses the limb or something, they just carry, the people just pick up the person and they're rushing with the person to the hospital. No, this is first aid. You need to know. Important things you need to know. You need to first control the bleeding where the incident has happened. Even if there is a metal inside the person's body, don't take it out. Control the bleeding where it is. Depending on how, if it's a metal on the arms or on the legs, yes, you can pull it out if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, just leave it in. But put the pressure on it and the tourniquet. Or use the rope or the whatever to tie to control the blood while you get the person to the hospital. Please, let's save lives. Let's save the lives of our brothers and our sisters, who find themselves in accidents, who actually find themselves in war zones, who actually find themselves in incidents, explosives, that they didn't plan for. Thank you for joining me on this next episode. I'm very grateful. I remain your favorite medical professional, Gwendolyn Halley. Bye-bye.